Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Today we have a special guest with us. We have John McEntee of the death metal band Incantation. Welcome back to the show, John.
Hey, what's up? Good to be here.
So John and the band are currently out on tour. So how's the tour been going so far?
Oh, it's been totally badass. I mean, the show's been awesome. The Marduk guys are great guys. Abysmal Dawn's really cool, and it's just been like it's just like kind of like a happy metal family on the road, and the shows have been great. Everything's been really good, and it's been extra awesome for us because our new album just came out, and we get a lot of great feedback from the people right away, which is really nice to hear after all the hard work of getting trying to get that done and stuff. So it's been a total blast.
And John, what's the lineup for the band while you guys are on tour?
Well, what's great about it is that for this tour, the lineup is actually our lineup of the band, which is myself, Chuck Sherwood, Kyle Severin, and Sonny Lombardozzi, the guys that actually played on the album. Sometimes Chuck can't make it on all the tours because of his work, so we're really excited to have him on a tour with us this time. Even though Luke does an amazing job helping us out for bass, it's always great to play with your actual bass player in the band.
So is Sonny a permanent member of the band?
Yeah, he's been a permanent member for quite a while now. Yeah, and he's been doing a great job. He had a lot of input on the new album and stuff. He's definitely a permanent member. We're really happy about that.
So Incantation has a new album out, but before we get into that, John, give people a brief history on the band, and you guys have been around now for over 20 years, and you're an original member, so just let people know what the band's all about and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, the band started in, 1989. I started after I left my former band, Revenant. I was actually really into the stuff Revenant was doing for a while, but then they kind of wanted to move to a little bit more of a refined, kind of style, and I kind of realized that just wasn't really my path. At that time, I kind of wanted to push death metal to kind of a more extreme level, and, so I started Incantation out with Paul Ledby, who later left to start Profanatica, and pretty much, just since then, we've just been kind of just doing our own thing. It was really awesome that we were able to kind of just do things our way, kind of be stubborn about it, and have people, really like us. Once we did our first album, Moment to Go Goth, the response was really great, and we were totally blown away because we didn't expect people to like it that much. I kind of thought that we were going to do one album and be done or something, So it's really great that, we've been able to be kind of, I consider us kind of like the stubborn bastards of death metal, where we just do it, we just do our thing, kind of truck along through whatever trends are going on, and, do it more for the love of music than to worry about the popularity or the trend aspect of it or whatever, So we've just been doing it ever since then,
And so you guys have a ton of albums out now. Now your last full-length album before the new one, Dirges of Elysium, was released in 2014. Now that featured Alex Books on guitars, and there has since been some truth spoken about the recordings of that album and Alex's departure from the band. So John, while I have you here, can you just clear that all up and tell us what happened there?
Yeah, it's cool. It basically was just bad timing, really, for Alex. He was having a lot of personal problems at the time, and it just, he wasn't able to dedicate the time he needed to the band, and it just got to the point where, we kind of felt that it was time for us to do the Dirges album, and we thought he was kind of on board, but then once, we started doing it, we just kind of realized that, his personal issues were just, more important for him to deal with and stuff. So kind of halfway through the recording, he basically had to, I guess he had to split from the band because he just wasn't, contributing or, able to make it out to the studio as much as he'd like to and stuff. And it just wasn't working out properly. And it was really a difficult situation for me to deal with because I've been friends with him since 1989 when I started Incantation, and I've always been a fan of him and a friend of his and stuff. And I was put in a really awkward situation where I had to kind of try to make a decision that was, best for the band as far as, what to do, and dealing with the fact that this guy's like one of my best friends and he's going through a difficult time in his life, so I kind of closed up, I guess, and I don't really think I dealt with the situation probably as good as I should have because it was too difficult, but, basically we told Alex at the time that, it might be best if you take like 6 months off from the band and try to, get your shit together, that you have to do on your own that we can't help you with, and then, come back, when you're ready to. And at the time, I think he was just so stressed out and everything that he decided that he was just going to leave the band, instead of, it was just a really awkward situation, and, from that point on, we pretty much had Sonny kind of fill in and help us out. We still wasn't sure if Alex's decision to leave the band was going to be a permanent one or not, but it ended up being that way, and it was for the best for him because he really needed to get his life back together because it was kind of like everything was just kind of falling apart with his family life and stuff, and it just wasn't the right time for him to be doing music. And it's so great now because, he got the gig playing with Immolation, which are other great friends of ours and stuff. And, he's able to, still play with some of his best friends in Immolation. And, it's always, Immolation's been like our best friends forever. So we're always happy to see them do well. And we're also happy to see Alex play with them. But it was just the thing that I was really annoyed at in the article that, Noisy.com did was that he made it seem like, we were mad at Alex and that Alex was fucking everything up. And it wasn't like Alex was being reckless and fucking things up. It's just that things weren't getting done because he had too much, time. I mean, not too much time, too much issues going on in his life to be able to focus properly on, getting the album done the way it needs to be done and to be able to do things up to his fullest potential, So I was just really annoyed when I read the review or an interview, and he made it seem like I was, pissed at him for it when, like I said, the dude's one of my best friends, and the last thing I would do would be pissed because he has personal problems that he has to take care of. We were kind of trying to work with them on it as much as possible, and we know that. I'm sorry, this is a bus right here. We talked about it afterwards, and everything was pretty much cleared up. So I was really kind of annoyed once, and I think the noisy guy possibly couldn't hear me properly or something when I was talking to him because he made a bunch of errors in the article, and it was just kind of annoying because if there was something there that he didn't quite understand or wasn't clear about, I would have rather had him contact me and try to clear it up instead of him just take the liberty of just like, filling in the blanks or whatever, which I thought was really uncool because when I read that, I was just horrified. So I'm like, fuck, he said something to the extent like, Alex was totally fucked up when I was telling him that, the situation was totally fucked up. I wasn't talking about Alex. It's always a difficult situation when, you're dealing with somebody's personal issues and like friendship in the band and stuff like that. It's not always so easy to, work around or whatever, And it's always disheartening for me because, like I said, Alex has been one of my best friends for what now, probably the length of the band's existence, So when you read something like that was so misquoted and put out of context, it was just, really discouraging, especially because it's kind of a big website and gets a lot of hits and stuff like that, and I don't want people, thinking the wrong idea of Alex. I mean, I even have a band, a side band that I'm I'm working on with Alex now, so it's not like there's any kind of problem, Or even if I hated the guy that much, I wouldn't be jamming with him in another side band. I actually really enjoyed jamming with him a lot, and some of this music that we created together for the Vanquish Inventions and the Dirge of Elysium album is really, some of my happiest memories of writing music and, working, because he put in, as much work as I did on those albums. And I think it's, for me as a musician, it's great to work with somebody that is creative like myself and really puts their heart and soul into stuff, So it's like I have nothing but great memories of, recording. It's just that, of the writing process and recording for those albums, except for the fact of, towards the end when I had to deal with, sometimes reality getting in the way of your metal kind of thing, and fucking things up.
Well, like you said, in the long run, everybody's fine. Alex is fine. He's doing his thing with Immolation. They got so much going on. You guys got all kinds of stuff going on. You're still friends with Alex. I mean, all this stuff is the reality of it all. But it's like you said, when stuff like that gets misquoted and the wrong person reads it, and then all kinds of shit breaks loose. I just wanted to kind of clear that up. I mean, like I said, you're still friends with Alex. Alex knows you guys are friends. And how the fuck does this shit come out? Who the hell knows, But so, anyways, I just wanted to clear all that up, and we have, John.
Cool, thank you.
And also the new album, Profane and Nexus, out now on Relapse Records. So now you said the four of you did this? No, Sonny was part of this writing process for this album as well?
Yeah, Sonny was part of it. Basically, myself, Chuck, Kyle, and Sonny, we all wrote, portions of the album together. It was really a great situation for us to be in, because we're at the point now where everybody contributes to the band, and that hasn't always been the case in the past. A lot of times it was just like Kyle and myself writing material, so it's really nice to have input. And Sonny's input is really great, because sometimes they'll come up with, cool riff ideas or something like that, or a few structural parts together. But I think where he really kind of contributed really awesome was that he would just make bring up minor changes and riffs, just few note changes here and there or whatever. And, he would just critique some of the, all of our music. And that really helped us out a lot, because, there's some progressions and some stuff that's just kind of more common that I guess are my go-to that I don't really realize. And he was able to kind of take some of that normal stuff. And our bus has an alarm that keeps going off.
Tour life.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Yeah. So he was able to do some minor critiques, but those critiques really made the riffs sound even darker and more eviler than they were before. So it was really awesome. Plus, we were able to do a lot more second guitar parts and a lot of lead stuff that we haven't been able to do in the past. We were kind of getting to that point with Vanquish and Vengeance where we had more leads on our album, and also in Dirges we had more leads. But this one we were really able to not just do more leads, but also incorporate it into the riffs of the song. You'll notice on the album that there's a lot of cool guitar tapping parts and just assorted cool guitar things that are unique to Sonny's style that we were able to contribute to our sound to make it better. Because my thing is, we obviously like to keep the same lineup, but whoever's in the band at the time, we try to utilize their talents and bring it all in to the band to try to make it great. It's always best to work with the people you have and try to bring the best out of them instead of trying to make them do things in your way or whatever. And that's kind of what we have the band now, is everyone just contributes something really cool and came out great. I'm really happy with everything. The only problem that I have with the album is that it took us so long to get done. It was actually supposed to be out last year, but we just had studio problems, and we had to make the decision if we wanted to wait and have it done right or kind of go with it. And we said, fuck it, we'll just wait. We had to wait like an extra 6 months because we missed our deadline for Dan Swano to mix it. And it was our choice between having someone else mix it or wait for Dan Swano. And we were like, well, Dan Swano's kind of like the fifth Incantation member, so it's like we kind of would rather just wait for him because he does such a good job. He really understands our sound, and he's kind of from our era of death metal, where he just understands the, what we're looking for. A lot of producers, might want to make it too modern sounding and not have that old, barbaric vibe that we always think is important in all our music. It has to be raw, even if it's clean and well produced. We want it to be raw and pissed off sounding.
Well, I think you got that done pretty good. Now, John, as far as lyrics go, what are some of the subjects that you sing about on this album?
There's a lot of crazy stuff, but really for that, you really need to talk to Chuck because some of the concepts are just so complex. You know what? A matter of fact, Chuck's right here right now. He could help you out with that concept. Hold on a second. Chuck, you're on a radio show. Tell him about the lyrics.
Okay.
Hi, Chuck. Yeah, Chuck, we want to know...
What were you asking?
We want to know where you approached this album lyrically. What are some of the subject titles that you sing about, and where the hell do these thoughts come from, Chuck?
Primarily, the songs are all of different origins. I research an awful lot, kind of the nerd of the band. One of the songs, Muse, was actually just something I made up on my own, but like Omens to the Altar of Onyx, for example, that's about the Sabella cult of, I guess it would have been originally in Troy, and when Greece had taken over, they moved this altar stone to Carthage, and then during the Punic Wars, the Roman priests saw signs that the great mother stone had to be returned to the empire or something, so they sent out Scipio as more or less like an emissary of this god, to bring back the altar of onyx that they used to sacrifice upon, and so that's primarily what that one's about. They all either stem from occultism's history, or my deranged subconscious.
So Chuck, where do you get all these ideas from? You obviously said you read a lot of things, but you watch a lot of, like these documentaries on TVs and the ancient aliens and all that kind of stuff?
Well, it's funny, actually. I used to read the authors of that comprised that show many years before it was in syndication.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading Zachariah Sitchin in high school, and even my previous band, my old guitarist, introduced me to a number of different authors that ended up being on that show. So to me, it was all old news. I don't know. It just, as John likes to say, I'm a freak. It just comes naturally to me. I continue to pursue the things less spoken of and try to, present it to people that would, dig a little bit deeper and try to find out those stories on their own. When I was a kid, I would, listen to Rime Ancient Mariner, but I didn't know what the, Iron Maiden was talking about. Mm-hmm. And it helped me pursue that angle, and I hope that I can, bring that to others as well, if they seek it out,
All right. Well, thank you for your insight, Chuck.
Thank you. Take care now.
Yeah, you too.
Hello?
John, welcome back.
Yeah, no problem. I figured it'd be better because Chuck's such a freak that it's easier for him to explain it than me, So now you know why.
It's so funny you just said that, that you guys called him the freak of the band, and then you're telling us he's such a freak. but he's a genius. And his lyrics are so interesting, and they are thought-provoking for those that actually look into them, and then just sit there and just listen to whatever is happening,
Yeah. I hear you. It's kind of, I feel the same way. He's really, really, really gets into it, and that's why we kind of let him just go off on the new album because he's been writing some of the lyrics for the last couple albums, but he just comes up with all these great, unique ideas that, you know, isn't even like on my radar, you know? So it's really awesome to have him come up with this stuff. And, you know, we'll ask him to explain it. We're just like, holy crap, you know? Sometimes it's funny because he'll be telling us what the story's about, and he'll be telling us like a book almost of like, of explaining it, every detail and stuff. We're just like, okay, cool.
Well, I was gonna say, it's a good thing he was there because there's no way in a million years that you would have been able to explain it the same way he did.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm just like, okay, that's good. He happens to be here to save my ass, you know? Because I was like, for me, I kind of know like the Cliff Note version of it, you know.
So tell us, what does the title then, Profane Nexus, mean? I mean, you know that much, don't you, John?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's basically, we decided to go with Profane Nexus. That was also a title that Chuck came up with because we were just thinking about titles for the album, and he came up with Profane Nexus because the album is not a concept album at all, and the only thing that kind of holds the songs, you know, lyrically together is that they're all profane in one version or another. So that being profane and Nexus is the connection between all the songs. So it's pretty simple. It's just like, it's almost like a cool way of saying songs of blasphemy or something like that, you know?
It's the fancy way of saying it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the cappuccino ad. It's really fancy, you know?
So tell us a little bit about the album art now and the artist.
Oh, well, Eleanor Cantor did the artwork, and that was something that Chuck really worked really closely with him on. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth between all of them, and we like working with Eleanor Cantor because he doesn't mind like the us ridiculing his artwork, you know, because it's like some artists get really like annoyed if we tell them like, you know, oh, this is good, but you know, we want more of this or XYZ in it. They get like kind of annoyed, you know. But Eleanor Cantor was really cool because he just like was, you know, he would take whatever we said and he would say, oh, okay, that's cool, we'll, you know, try to do it, or try to you know, add those elements to it and stuff like that. So it was just easy to work with, and he wanted to make our vision come to, you know, art or whatever, you know. He wasn't as, like, he was concerned about the quality of it and doing a good piece, but he was able to be really considerate to the band, I would say, by wanting to make the band happy with, you know, what it was. Because, like I said, a lot of artists are sometimes more concerned about, you know, having a nice piece of artwork and getting their expression out, but he was able to do it. You know, he wanted to be our vehicle to get our idea out, and I thought it was really good. I mean, just the colors that he used were the kind of colors he wanted in it, and just, you know, it basically has just a lot to do with different songs. I mean, probably the biggest like the song representation is the Rights of the Locusts. Is that if you look closely on the album, there's these locusts that are carrying body parts, and that's basically you know, goes with the Rights of the Locusts lyrics, because that's kind of like that song is kind of about the Muslim religion and how it's getting, you know, hijacked by fundamental extremists and stuff like that, and that, you know, these fundamental extremists are kind of like the locusts of the, you know, of the religion by stripping it of anything that has good. So it's kind of a cool way of expressing, you know, our not so fondness, we'll say, of you know, Islam religion, along with other ones, though. You know, it's not when it comes to religion, we're equal opportunity, you know, bashers. You know, you know.
That's so wrong. So John, what formats is it released on? I mean, is it coming out on vinyl too?
Yeah, we have like I think there's 3 different versions of the vinyl Relapse did. Like there's 3 different kind of color schemes, and there's like the deluxe version on vinyl where it comes with a poster and a pin and I think something else I can't think of right now. But then there's that version which is like limited to a certain amount, maybe like 300, and then there's 2 other versions that are out there too on vinyl, which are all really cool. It's really weird because I don't know if they're for sale, but Relapse did like a clear vinyl for it too of only 100. But as far as I know, it's like not available to sell for anybody. So I don't know if they're just keeping it for themselves, the 100 copies of the clear vinyl. They gave us like 1 copy each, I think. And I'm like, I don't know what they're saving them for, but maybe they're saving them for like 10 years down the line when someone wants them. I don't know, but it was pretty cool. But yeah, then he did the CD version of the album, and they, I guess, doing all their digital sales and stuff like that. I mean, it's actually been going pretty good. I mean, it's the first time we've ever like actually officially, I think, been on any charts anywhere, for like Billboard or whatnot. So I guess it's doing pretty good. We were right behind Venom Inc., so I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I could live with being like, 1 number behind Venom Inc. in almost every, chart or whatever. I mean, that's almost like a dream come true for me, to be even remotely, even Venom, the guys at Venom Inc. even might look at it and see Incantation under them is an honor,
So you said you already had the vinyl? Because I love the fact now that, vinyl kind of went away for such a long time, and then within like these past, I would say like around 8 years, it's got this like resurgence now, and I'm kind of happy because within these past 8 years, I'm getting older and I can't see as good, and now when I get these vinyls, I got this big picture in front of me, and I just love it. So it's kind of cool that you guys, get to do that.
Oh, it's vinyl for me is just way better. I mean, actually, when we originally seen the artwork, we were looking at a kind of small version of it, and it just, we were happy with it, but once we seen it on the vinyl, we were just like, oh, fuck yeah, it looks a hell of a lot better, I mean, it just something special about vinyl, and I think just for like metal and rock in general, vinyl is just the way it was meant to be. I mean, CDs are fine, and it's they were convenient or whatever, but for me, it's like I grew up in the age of going to record stores and looking through the vinyls, and just there was no internet, no nothing, as far as that. It was either magazines, radio stations, or just going to the record store and asking the guy there, So it's like, for me, it's just great. It was always a bummer, like when we put out, our albums like Onward to Golgotha and Mortal Throne Nazarene and whatnot, almost all those were never released on vinyl. I mean, we were still at the tail end of cassettes or whatever for it. And they got a really limited vinyl version in Europe, but it never got they never really got a proper vinyl release. And it was always, I mean, it was great to have a CD out at the time, but I was like always kind of bummed out because, I always wanted a vinyl release of our stuff. It was just because I grew up with that, So it's like, it's like having your having the CD in your hands is nice, but having a feel in your hand of what you did just seems like it's almost like getting a trophy or something for your work.
Right.
It's just better, it just is.
Absolutely. I feel the same way, it's just more special or something,
Yeah.
CDs seem so disposable nowadays or something, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. If there's a band I really like, I'll go for the vinyl, even if I don't even play the vinyl, just to collect it and have it in my collection, just look at it, it's just better. I don't know, it's just, for me, it's just the way to go, even though it's sad because I've listened to most of my music, probably on my phone or digitally now, but if I buy something, I'll always go for the vinyl instead of the CD. It's just the way I am, it just brings me back, I think, to it, the 80s and the late 70s as a kid, and just, going to the record store. It was always, always is a magical experience.
So how long is this tour that you guys are on now, John?
Well, I guess it's about maybe, I don't know, about 3 weeks or so. I mean, it's basically we're going from LA up to Canada. We end on was it September 3rd? I think is the last show in Canada. It's basically it's the tail end of Marduk's current album tour, and it just happened to be right in the release of ours. So it's actually kind of cool. That we're still able to, able to promote the new album while touring Marduk again. Because we did do a bunch of shows at Marduk last, was it February, I think? And it was, we just got along so great with them and stuff. And when they were going to do the next tour, they were going to hit mostly different cities. So we're like, fuck yeah, we'll do it again. It's because it's like, when you tour with a band and you get along with the guys really well, it's something you want to keep trying to do, because there's nothing worse being on the road with bands you don't get along with. That sucks. Especially if you're stuck on a bus with them and they're just like assholes or something. That's just such a bummer.
So the last time Marduk was out on tour, they had all this kind of trouble with the Antifa and all that shit. You guys haven't had no trouble or anything, have you?
No, not yet.
Okay, good.
The only thing is that you're supposed to play a San Francisco show on this tour, but it never went through. But I don't know if it was Antifa or not. But I just know that it was kind of a bummer, because we were really that was like really the only major city that we didn't hit last time that Antifa kind of screwed up, Oakland or whatever. And we really wanted to play San Francisco, because the shows are always great out there. We have a lot of fans out there for both bands, and but it never went through. So I don't know if it's just like a weird environment now in the Bay Area or something like that, or they don't even want to take the risk now. Which is really sad for the metal people out there, because these people that are trying to stop a band like Marduk from playing is a very small number of people. So it's like. It's not the majority of people, because most people know that all the criticism that they're getting is just absolutely ridiculous, and but it's just people. It's like, for some reason there's people out there these days that don't even like take the time out to like really do the research. They see they see something that has to do with World War II, and they just have a freaking heart attack or something. It's like. Just I understand you might have some political views that you feel strongly about, but it's still important to do your homework, and also it's not a good idea to like enjoy people's fun by going to a show, by banning a show. It's just such a lame thing to do, and it doesn't give you any fans anyway. It makes more people hate you, and it's like the more you do stupid things like that, the more there's going to be problems, because people are going to start getting pissed off at these idiots for making stupid judgment calls, and it's going to affect whatever point they're trying to make. They're just going to get, it's not going to, the wrong things are going to be emphasized. They're going to be just as idiots that can't, cancel shows that they don't like, instead of whatever political view they want to try to get out there. There's better ways to do it than protesting. I mean, they protested our show in, Austin, and they said like something like Nazis fuck off or something, like all these signs or whatever. We're playing Austin, and it's like 80% Mexicans there, and it's just kind of funny, because they're calling these Mexican dudes like Nazi sympathizers, they're just like, fuck off, They're like calling them putos and stuff,
Jesus. I'm telling you. So after you're done with this tour, what's going on? I mean, you got any more stuff coming up for this year, or what?
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to do another tour in Europe, but we don't really have anything set yet. And I know for like early next year, we're probably going to do another U.S. run, either as a opener or a headlining tour. We're just not 100% sure yet. And we have stuff going on. We have stuff in the works for like Mexico, for Western Canada, for South America, even possibly some stuff in Asia. So we have a lot of stuff on the table. It's just kind of trying to get it all sorted out and stuff, all the details. yeah, we're looking forward to you know, getting out and playing some new songs for people, you know.
And then where can people go to then to learn about when you're going to be going out there? Now, don't you guys have a website other than Facebook too?
Yeah, it's just our Incantation.com website.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, I say it's really important to check there for, you know, information directly, you know, from the band, because there's a lot of times that, you know, certain things will be in the works, but, you know, until we post it on our website, it's not 100% confirmed with us, and it's best because we've had a lot of problems with people, you know, especially in place South America or something like that, and the promoters will start promoting the show before we have a, you know, proper deal worked out and stuff, and it's better for everybody if they, you know, check our source first before, you know, you know, it's just better to have the direct contact with the people as far as the issues and stuff like that. And yeah, it was actually talking about that. I did like an answer and was it Ask Me Anything on Reddit recently. No, and it was actually really good because we got to explain stuff. I got to explain stuff, you know, directly to the fans, which I actually thought was kind of better in a way, even than doing some of the you know, interviews with some of the magazines and stuff. At least I don't have to worry about them like mixing up my words or whatever, you know.
That's
like I can
true.
make sure that they can get it from the horse's mouth, you know, because it's definitely, you know, it's been a while since I had my words kind of mixed up like that so much, you know, or taken out of context. So when it happened again, it kind of hit me as it's like, oh, back to this crap again, you know, because we used to get that. It was like in the 90s. People used to like egg us on to try to find some way for like me to say something negative about some of our ex-members, and it was like people just like almost wanted the drama, you know. And it's like, and then, you know, there really wasn't that much drama, you know, but it was like the press people or just like certain people wanted that because for them it's like makes it good reading for other people if, you know, if they think we're like at each other's throats, you know, when it's just like, no, it's no problem at all, you know. Like even with the old members, I see Craig Pillard around. We, you know, we hang out, we say what's up, you know. We wish each other the best with, you know, what we're doing and stuff. It's not even a issue, you know. It's like, okay, we did a few albums, it was cool, and you know, we both moved on, you know. But people would rather look at it as some kind of big drama, you know. It's pretty sad.
Well, you know, especially back then when there was no internet or anything like that, and you relied a lot on magazines. If a magazine misquoted you, there was nothing in the world the artist can do. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I know. So that's why it's better now. At least there's more options that you can do. Because I mean, this the stupid stuff with the Noisy magazine with Alex. That would have lasted like a freaking year or two, you know.
Yes.
Like when I, you know, back in the day. Luckily now I'm able to kind of, you know, say something about it. And, you know, I was going to go and contact the guy and go through it and try to make, you know, try to have him fix things up. But I was like, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to go through the interview line by line and try to fix up everything. It's like it's too much work and it's just ridiculous to have to do, you know. So, but it's a bummer. But like I said, I mean, in my opinion, I think the Noisy guy probably just didn't hear me because there were some quotes that were just outright wrong. I mean, they said one thing about I knew Alex since I was 8 or 9, and in the interview I told him I was friends with Alex since 1989.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like so obviously he just couldn't hear me. And so it's like if he couldn't hear me, that's cool, just tell me, and I'll you know, he could have easily contacted me. I would have called him back and explained to him something instead of like, you know, him kind of making it up on his own or whatever, you know. But, you know, like I said, we've dealt with it before. It's just been a little while because we haven't really had the amount of press that we've had with the new album. The new album's the press has been really cool to us as far as giving us a lot of you know, opportunities to promote the band. And when the more press you get the opportunity of, the more times, you know, more chances you have to open up for having problems, you know, because there's always some people there that even if they don't do it on purpose, they just, you know, to them it's no big deal. They don't realize that, you know, it's kind of a big deal to me because I don't like to be misquoted, you know. I mean, trust me, I could be an asshole and I could be, I'm kind of like, you know, fuck you attitude when it comes to my music and stuff like that. But it's still, you know, when it comes to like people that I'm friends with and that mean a lot to me, it's like Alex is, you know, one of my best friends. So that was just, you know, the fact that Alex brought to my attention that it happened, I was actually kind of pissed that, you know, that was just kind of like, you know, it just made the situation even worse, you know, because I was like, oh, that's horrible if you thought I would say that stuff about you or not sure, you know.
Well, we got it all cleared up now, John, so don't you worry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good, though.
So I'm going to let you guys get going. So thanks for taking this time out there in between your fancy cappuccinos and hanging out with the other freaks in the band and everything else. We really appreciate it. And best of luck on this tour and all the best with the new album, John.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for, you know, the opportunity to say my piece on, you know, the noisy thing and just for the interview, you know, in general. I mean, for me, you know, radio has always been a big part of, you know, metal for me. Like, when I was a young kid, I used to listen to, like, college radio and stuff back then just to kind of learn about metal, learn about bands, and it's always been a, you know, something that I remember that kind of helped form me into what I am today because I got to hear so many different bands that I would never have heard before. So I commend you on, you know, doing the radio show, and, you know, it's definitely awesome, you know? It means a lot to me.